And just recently, President Trump was asked to his face, with this hurting port workers and hurting truck drivers' jobs, what he thought about this. And so I just want to share this right here.
Business has slowed down, as you mentioned. We're seeing as a result, the ports here in the U.S., the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
Yeah, no, that means we lose less money. When I see that, that means we lose less money. Look, China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion, in my opinion. Different numbers from 500 billion to $1 trillion or $1 trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion. And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But we're going to make it so they can. I'd like to say they could do better, actually, in terms of the bottom line. We'd like to see China opened up so we can compete in China and, give people something that they've never had, access to something. That'd be great for the world. It would be great for our businesses. And I think it would be great for friendship. I really expect a lot of people think I'm a militant guy. I'm really not. I think that trade can bring a greater friendship with China. It can be something good. But, one of the things that I know Scott's going to be talking about very high on the list is open up and let our businesses go into China, because when you talk about a closed country, that's a really closed country. And I think it would be great if it was opened up. It'd give people a lot of choice and would create a lot of jobs, a lot of everything. So I think it would be a great thing for China. And that's going to be one of the things we'll be discussing, like we discussed with UK.
Last week, I interviewed the president of California Trucking Association, also connected to the Harbor Association, which represents all the port drivers and everybody in the ports. And so basically, this is the week that we're talking about here, right? I want to give you guys an update. I'll show you guys a video at the very end of that, because he stated a lot of truth. He stated that a lot of these drivers going in the ports potentially could lose their job if these tariffs keep up for the next 30 days. So want to bring this up right here, and this could be some good news right here. We know President Trump uses the tariffs and a lot of the stuff that he does as bargaining tools. So it says here, the first Chinese goods subject to President Donald Trump's 145% tariffs have begun arriving into the Los Angeles and Long Beach ports. Okay, so 12,000 shipping containers in all are on the first freight vessels from China with goods from Amazon, Home Depot, IKEA, Ralph Lauren, Tractor Supply, Procter & Gamble, LG, Samsung, and among many others. So, he put out recently on his Truth Social that he would be willing to lower the tariffs to China to 80%. So what did that do? That actually started some negotiations.
On that note, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Ambassador Jameson Greer will meet with the lead representatives on economic matters from the People's Republic of China over the weekend in Switzerland. As President Trump has said, the United States and China have been talking for some time over the course of the administration, and now teams from both countries will meet in person to continue discussions. You can be certain that President Trump and his trade team will ensure we work to achieve the best deal possible for America.
So basically, when President Trump made the statement that he'd be willing to lower the tariffs to 80%, that made China say, you know what, let's come to the table and let's see if there's any negotiations that we could do. And they're doing it tomorrow in Switzerland. So if they show that live, I'm definitely going to share that with all of you.
But I also see it from the California trucking side. So you see the other aspects, the last mile, the over the road, the regional carriers, and every company that I've talked to, there's massive layoffs being planned, if not already, just because of the amount of gates and vessels coming into the ports have dramatically dropped, as you're reading. Next month already, it's been reported that 48 vessels up here Oakland and Long Beach, LA, and Oakland are basically blank sailings, which means that there's not going to be any product coming in. And so as we all have collaborated and talked as a trucking community, it's unfortunate because we have to do what we have to do to maintain costs and make sure that we don't put ourselves out of business. So as a byproduct, drivers don't get to work. It's sad because all we're trying to do is make sure that everybody has a living, right? And make sure that we advocate for them in this tough regulatory environment. So it's unfortunate, but that's where we're headed. And there's a bunch of byproduct that happens because whenever there's vessel sailings blanking. And I'm not sure how much you understand of the port complex, but when COVID hit, When their terminals are shut down, the gates are closed. It's like a checkerboard effect. If you look at all the gates, you have one terminal closed day side, one terminal night side. Steamship lines are not accepting cargo or empties returns. It becomes a big problem. Empty containers are sitting at customers' facilities or our facilities. And once again, stuff's not moving. So drivers can't get paid. But not only that, I mean, we talk about the drivers, but we're also talking about the office staff. And there's a lot of blowback on the office staff because you don't need them if there's nothing coming in. And so there is a lot of layoffs that a lot of the trucking companies that I have been talking to have already implemented or have plans to implement, which is unfortunate, very unfortunate.
So when people are reading these articles, sir,
yep,
there is a lot of truth to this.
100%.
Okay.
100%. I mean, you can go up and down right now. If the gates were open, you would see about half the trucking community just going in lines, and it's ghost town. And typically this time of year, it's not. You know, you're getting ready for summer and then you're getting ready for fall clothing, and so you really don't have a lot of that stuff going on. It's very concerning to the trucking community, just because we have to do like I said, and drivers are being laid off or not having no work if you're an independent contractor or licensed motor carrier. So very concerning for us, the executives, everybody who is running companies who have a responsibility to these people who are loyal to us and they contract with us. So it's tough as a trucking company executive that you have to basically either lay them off or have no work for them, and they can't pay their bills. So you understand the position they're in because there's always blowback. You may not never see these drivers again. They may go to a different segment, even leave the state. So it's a tough deal.
And the big question for all the American people that be watching this podcast, sir, there's a lot of fear mongering going around about, shelves will be empty, things like that. Is there some truth to that, or do you think that us as Americans will be okay?
To be honest with you, it's the type of product that's either manufactured from China or wherever the hardest hit tariffs countries. But there's a lot of product that is actually manufactured in America, right? Or even Mexico or Canada that will fill the shelves. Some of the BCOs that we've talked to said that, they have 30 days to 45 days of inventory in their warehouses or DCs, but it's still concerning. People don't understand how fast that will go. Like, it will go quickly. So we're hoping that there be some kind of reprieve or some kind of agreement that is made with, China and some of these other countries that we're actually having these issues with, right? Is there a trade imbalance? It depends what side of the table you're on. There may be, there may not be, but if you look at the numbers that are put out there, it's pretty insignificant, and it's pretty significant that there is some differences in how stuff is taxed versus others, right? And there's a tariff. So I would be concerned if it lasts longer than 30 days. I would be definitely concerned you're going to see some shortages on the shelf.